Hey, Congressman.
Hello, Katie. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Oh
You're
my gosh,
very nice to meet.
we invite you every week, Congressman. So we're so happy that you are here and we can talk to you. And thank you so much for joining us. God, I don't know how you keep up. I can barely keep up with everything that's happening. How do you do it?
It is very difficult to keep up. I was just reflecting today on all of the scandals and all of the corruption because the revelations are just coming out like a waterfall at the same time that we are trying to make some progress on public policy the best we can, and at the same time I'm out there campaigning to try to win the House and the Senate back.
You have some of these socialist wackos. They want to double and triple your taxes, and that won't come close to paying for it. They want to knock down all buildings in Manhattan and rebuild them without windows. You know about that, right? Let's rebuild them. Glass is no good. We don't want windows. I used to love the view, but I think we'll all be forced to close up windows. No, it's crazy what they're saying. So many different things. So do we want keep America great or make America great again? We'll go keep America great first. Ready? So keep America great or make America first. Keep America great.
For the Democratic majority in the country.
Well, there's some good signs of that in Florida yesterday, right? Do you want to talk about the trend that we're seeing, even though it's a long way to November, Congressman?
Yeah, I mean it's an eternity away. On the other hand, it's also like the day after tomorrow. I mean, we have to have a sense of urgency about it, but we know a lot can happen between now and then. So, even when we have a great victory, like a smashing victory, as we did in Florida yesterday, or like we had in Texas with a seat Democrats recaptured with a 21-point swing. Even with that, our job is to wake up the next day and get right back out there and keep campaigning and keep working because there are tons of independents and tons of disaffected Republicans who can't take it anymore. And they're coming our way. And we've got to be there to welcome them, to tell them that they're being heard and that we need them as part of this Democratic movement.
I mean, what do you think the unifying message is, Congressman? I think the Democratic Party writ large is a lot more diverse, or at least perhaps less disciplined in its messaging than the Republican Party. You can argue with me if you want on that. But what is the unifying message? There has to be more than we've got to get rid of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's got to be like, what are Democrats saying to voters that will make them have more faith and, quite frankly, a party that they've also lost faith in?
Well, we've got two rival public philosophies in contest in America today. In one public philosophy, supported by my political party, which is huge, unwieldy, lots of different groups and lots of
Right.
different people in it. But our public philosophy is very clear. The government must be an instrument for the common good of all of the people. It must be working every single day to advance the welfare of the people, whether we're talking about education, whether we're talking about healthcare of every person in the country, whether we're talking about protecting the environment. That's what government does. The other vision, the other public philosophy is that government is an instrument for the private self-enrichment of the guy who gets in there and his family and his political party and his friends. Those are two radically contrasting approaches to what government has got to be about. And so we've been winning very much with the message of healthcare for every American, right? They've been throwing millions of people off of Medicaid. They've been getting rid of the ACA tax credits. They're making it harder for people to get the health care that they need. And we are trying to advance the value that in the richest society that has ever existed in the history of humanity, that we can afford to keep our people healthy. And if COVID-19 taught us nothing else, it's that my health care and my health are connected to your health. Your health care. We want everybody to be in a relationship with doctors so they're getting the health care that they need. And it's the same thing with education, and it's the same thing with the environment. We want to be uplifting everybody in the country.
How do you keep Democrats from eating their young or like being part of a circular firing squad? And there's that constant tension between, is the Democratic Party too progressive? Should it become back to the center to attract more independents, which who really do decide national elections? And I'm curious how you look at that, Congressman, because I think that someone was saying about Governor Newsom. I interviewed him for his book recently, and they were saying he's too progressive to be centrist, too centrist to be a progressive. He's kind of a man without his part of the party. And how do you square those things and make sure that Democrats don't kill each other?
Well, I think a lot of the old labels are meaningless in the current fight to defend democracy and democratic freedom in the country. Um, so, have I lost you there, Katie? Because you're frozen. Filibustered. I kept talking, so forgive me.
No, I'm so grateful because my friggin' phone died in the middle of your answer. So
It happens to
thank you.
me. It happens to me all the time, but usually around 8:30 or 9 p.m., not so early in the day. You probably got
out on Last Chance Highway. The driver takes the wheel. I got a funny feeling he doesn't know the deal. The press is spreading rumors that he's about to fall, and there's ketchup on the wall. Ketchup on the wall. I know that.
very early start this morning.
I did, and I'm so, so sorry about that. But basically you were talking about the messaging for the Democrats. And just give me a synopsis because I missed
Well,
it.
I guess, my thing is that, look, messaging has always got to be rooted in what your real political program is. And our political program right now has a defensive aspect and an offensive aspect. And the defensive aspect is we've got to defend our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, the right to assemble, the right to free speech, the right of free press, the Fourth Amendment right not to have your door kicked down by government agents without a search warrant, and so on. So we've got to defend everything that we've built up in America, and then we've got to move forward. So this is what I'm saying about healthcare, right? We're the richest society on earth at our richest moment on earth, although Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to break our economy. But we've got to make sure that we've got health care for every American citizen. We've got to deliver health care to our people. That's just central, but that is reflective of our commitment, which is the government has got to be an instrument for the common good and not an instrument for the corrupt self-enrichment for the guy who gets in.
Well, let me ask you why that message doesn't seem to be getting to Donald Trump's hardcore supporters. You would think that many of them would be disillusioned with some of the things that are happening, whether it's, trampling on constitutional rights, as you said, the level of corruption, which is unparalleled in history, I think, probably in not just modern history, in history, he's enriched himself and his cronies and his family upward and more than $4 billion at this point in time. I mean, why are people still supporting him in your view?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right on how much money he's made. He's made millions of dollars, millions times more money than every other president in American history combined when they were in the presidency. I mean, nobody ever went close to doing what he's doing. It has been essentially a money making operation. So you're right. So why are his people sticking with him? Well, first of all, um, not all of them are. Every day, his constituency is melting away. And remember, we don't need to win 100% of the people who support Donald Trump. We don't need Donald Trump Jr. on our side. We don't need Stephen Miller on our side. I'm not sure we want Stephen Miller on our side. But we need those people who voted for him in good faith because they thought he was actually going to end inflation on day one instead of spiraling inflation out of control with an unauthorized, undeclared war in Iran that has made everybody's gasoline prices go up 75 or 80 cents a gallon. You know, there are people he's losing every day on his own just by virtue of his policies. If we win away 5% or 10% of Trump's people, this will be a landslide, the kind of landslide you saw in Florida yesterday, or we saw in Texas, or that we're seeing across the country. If you average together all the elections we've had over the last year, and I'm talking about in Virginia with Abigail Spanberger's smashing historic victory for governor, or Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, or what we're seeing in state Senate races in Florida or in Texas around the country, if you average them all together, Democrats are up 12 or 13 points above where we were in the last election cycle in the same place. Well, that suggests that if we do our job right, if we keep fighting, if we build democracy summer, which I want to tell you all about, then we will have a landslide election in November. And Abraham Lincoln may then have been the founder of the Republican Party, and Donald Trump may have been the concluder of the Republican Party.
that
Be replaced by another political party. And hey, that's great. Competition is great in politics, like it's great in